Hi everyone, so we're going to be making something like this where we're going to be passing values between pages, and you can see here when I click on this button, the first one says parent to child. It grabs some sort of information, and then if I click from child to parent, it grabs some sort of information. So I'll be going through all this code in this video. First thing we want to do is go to our desktop, and we're going to create a brand new project. And I'm going to say no to everything here. I'm just going to have the bare bones basics, so no to everything, and just hit enter for the alias. And just wait for this to finish installing. And we're just going to drag and drop this folder over once it's done. And we are ready to code. First thing I'm going to do actually is I'm going to remove the stylizing because I don't want that black background in the demo I showed you. And I'll just keep that stuff, the main. That's it. And what I'll do here is I will then just set up a few things in the pages. Index here, I'll just delete everything in between the main. There we go. And what I want to do here is I am going to be importing the parent to child and child to parent pages, and we're going to be using it and displaying information based on the clicking. So what we'll have to do first is we are actually going to have to create the pages first. So inside our pages folder, we're going to create a few things. First one, we'll create the parent1.js, and then we'll also create another page which is called child1.js. So let's just work with these two pages first. And what I'm going to do is I'll go into parent1 first. And I'm going to just set up the default template. And I'll save that. And I'll also just copy this to child1 page as well. And I'll just relabel this as child1. But now that we have these two templates set up, actually I'll stay at child1 because we have to import it into the parent. And I'm just going to set up this code here. It's going to take the parent to child. And then here I'm going to just call the parent to child information. And that should display on screen. And what we want to do is we need to pass over some sort of value from parent to child. So we'll go to the parent1, and this is where we are going to be setting up some sort of information that will be passing it over to the child. Let's first add some, or create a use state. There we go. And make sure use state is imported at the top. I'm also going to import child1, the page. I'll import that because I will be using it here. What I'll do here is I'll add some sort of function, parent to child. I'm going to set the data, and I'll just make it say this is the data from the parent component, or the parent page, which will be passed to the child page. There we go. And here in between the return, I'm just going to call the child. And for this child, I'm going to be passing over this data that we have set up. And it's going to call that parent. It has to be called parent to child because here in the child 1 we have parent to child, so it has to match the exact wording. And we are going to be passing over data. And the button, we'll just say click. Okay, and then on click, that's when it'll actually trigger the parent to child function. So what it'll do is, right now, there's no data in our use state. It's empty initially. And only when you click on this button, it will trigger this function to run. And it's calling the parent to child, which is right up here. So this will run and it will set the data to this sentence. And once there's something there and it's not empty, it'll be passing it to the child 1 page, and it'll just match that exact wording, parent to child, and that parent to child. So this one now has that value, and you can now see it on the page directly. Because it's actually being imported, that child page is going to be added to this parent page, so it doesn't need to change pages. You'll be able to see it right away when you click on the button. So now, let's actually see how we can move it from child to parent, so the opposite way around. So let me create 2 pages again. I'll call this child2.js, and then I'll make another page, new file. It's going to be called parent2.js. And in parent2.js, we're going to set up a few more things again. But let's first set up the default template. And I'm going to save it. And I'll just copy this over to child2 as well. And just relabel this to child2. So now I will just go back to parent2 and I'll just finish this one up. I will just import child2 so then we can grab that page. And I'm going to set up a use state. And we're going to call that function, we're going to make a function here. It's called child2parent. And what it's going to do is it's going to grab the child data. And if there's child data, it's going to set the data to the child data. And make sure the use state is imported at the top there. Now what we can do is we can check to see if there's data. We're going to display it. And we're going to import over child2. And what we'll do is we'll call child2parent is equal to child to parent. I'll also call it something else. I'll say this is child parent and this is child to parent, so then we can see the difference. And what I'm going to do now is, because this value is child parent, when we go back to child 2, we have to make sure it's spelled exactly the same as well. And we're going to put it in the parentheses right over here. And we're going to have some sort of variable. I'll put it right here. So we'll just write something like this. And I'll be putting a button. And based on this button click, I'll say on click. Child to parent. I'm going to be pasting in the data. So what I'm going to be doing now is it's going to be triggering a function to be ran. And what's going to happen is it's going to make this data be stored in this variable child parent. And child parent is right at the top here, which is being imported by this page. And what it's going to do is it's going to say, okay, this child parent now has the data, so pass it over to this function, and this variable here is what has the data that's being passed over, and we're going to just now put this data in this use state on this page, and now it's going to be part of this use state on this page, and we can grab this data now and display it on our page. So it's just a matter of working backwards now, going from child all the way back to the parent in order to store the data. Let's actually put all these pages together now, and we're going to go back to the index.js, and right over here I'm going to be adding or importing parent to child. So I will import, I'll say parent to child from, I'll say parent1 / parent1.js. Oh, parent. And then here I'll say child to parent from. This is going to be from parent to. And now here in the main, I'm just going to import both of them. And we're going to save it here. And I'm just going to change this title here. There we go. We're going to save it. And let's actually run this application and see what there is. So it's on localhost 3000. So let's go localhost 3000. So we can see parent to child, but oh yeah, here's click child to parent. Just need to fix the spacing. But let's click the parent to child. Okay, this data is from the parent page, which will be passed to the child page. Okay, great. Now we got this click child to parent. This data from child page to the parent page. All right, perfect. So you can see here they both work now. That's how you are able to pass information between both the parent and the child, and then vice versa from the child to the parent. I'll be posting the link to the GitHub repository for this code so you guys could check it out.